where had it started? She'd often ask herself, where did things start? Which is the first spoke in the wheel, the first daisy in the chain? Not that it mattered. All that mattered was that it hadn't started here, in this room, here in her city, her place. It was an invader, an uninvited guest, a tourist that had come with the other tourists, the ones that actually enjoyed the hills and steps and learned to ask for pints of heavy and brought the little plastic kilted ladies on the Royal Mile. It had started, and so far as it did start, years before and thousands of miles away, traveling quietly, persistently, unheralded, unknown across the lands and seas and oceans, the awful consequence, the dreadful side effect, the poison flower, the slug beneath the sepulchre, reaching a man and a woman in a room in her city. Cornflakes all right? Oh, wonderful. You not having any? No, I don't want. Right. Don't tell me, let me guess. Right. University? No. London? No. Isle of Wight. Isle of Wight? Don't tell me. I wouldn't dream of it. I know the face. Sorry, give up. You're going to have to help me. I'm not going to come. As the peanut farmer said to the daughter of the revolution, I crashed with you. Some pad in the new town, round about 1968, I was having fire resistance problems with a draft card. Oh, yes. When you say with me, on your settee. That's what I thought. Sorry. I mean, I'm sure I would have remembered if it hadn't been. Did they get you? Who? The draft people. I didn't go back to get got Canada. Now, Canada, England, both. I commute. Jesus Christ, doing? The same. Which is, I take photographs. My husband's in papers. I'm in magazines. You're married? I didn't spot it. You haven't aged. You're too kind. No, I mean, Clive, my husband, says the definition of approaching middle age is when you start looking at people's third fingers as a matter of course. How old is he, for Christ's sake? As he puts it, the wrong side of 29 and a half, which is 29 and 3/4. Well, I'd. Have you had enough to eat? I certainly have, and had a lovely time. Oh, good. I'm sorry? What for? What's the nothing? I just think you ought to know. I don't make a habit of it. That's all. Habit of what? Oh, adultery. I'd better go. Did I give you the number? You did. You're in town. For a while. Where's Clive? Dumfries. Some scoop. See you then. I remember. You had this magazine for Americans in England. You did the graphics. I bought it, every issue, after you stayed. Screw the flag. Right. Ciao. Ciao, bugger. It was 16.37 West Coast time, the 27th of April, 1975. The big Boeing troop carrier circled over the Air Force Base somewhere in upstate California. Inside the plane, the men showed no emotion at their homecoming. There'd be no crowds to welcome them, just the private, tearful faces of the ones they'd left behind. They weren't coming home with victory or even peace with honor, but at least the boys were coming home. The wife took her seat in the smoking sector of the DC-9. She checked her $40 coiffure, fixed her seatbelt, then relaxed. 4 days, she thought. 4 days away from, well, what was he? A a national hero, or just another tired and tiring vet without a job. Anyway, 4 days. She'd never been to Miami, and she was sure as hell going to enjoy it. Well, at least it wasn't raining. The Florida sun beat down on the guy in the bleached sneakers and the light blue baseball cap. The troop wasn't going too well. He'd hoped to make Louisville in 2 days. Still, he'd enjoyed that extra night in Miami. And if he'd not been thinking quite so hard about that night, the blue rinsed Californian at the barbecue, he would have looked back to the Tallahassee exit, seen the battered Buick make a right towards him. The girl was tired. She hadn't, after all, had that much sleep. She parked the 1966 olive green Buick convertible in the parking lot and walked down to the beach. This morning she'd been where? Columbus? Louisville? No, Louisville was Wednesday. Last night was Columbus, and today was Interstate 24, Detroit, the border, and Toronto. Jesus, what a drive. The girl looked out across Lake Erie, thought about the easy rider in the baseball cap, wondered if she'd ever see the guy again. She knew whatever hell is right, that she'd remember him. She didn't know, however, quite how hell as right she was. It was 8:03 Greenwich Mean Time. The Air Canada Tristar from Toronto taxied to a halt outside Terminal 3 at London's Heathrow Airport. The young man waited till the other passengers had bustled off the plane, and when he did move, caught the cute come hither of the well-stacked hostess at the cabin door. 24 hours later, he left the buxom redhead sleeping in the bedroom of the Putney penthouse, caught a cab, and made the Scottish Pullman just in time. Meum, toom, meum, meum, toom, meum. Toom, toom. What's the Latin for hours? I don't know, Clive. Tayum, meum. Meum. Clive, there really isn't any. Hello? Me. No, I haven't. I'll be late. Yes, we're being a bit melo. Hello? Dramatic. Right, that's the sounds ill sorted. I decided to go halves on Wagner. You can have Die Valkyrie. Yes, fine. But here's some further items. That I have you've ripped off. Come again? For a start, I seem to be sort of short of one Snoopy and the Red Baron bath towel. And my Killer of the Deep t-shirt. Your Killer of the Deep t-shirt? My Killer of the Deep t-shirt. And a bottle of yellow shampoo. Oh, Clive. And there's also Volume 3 of the Deutscher Trotsky biography, which I'm particularly keen to repossess, as I've just finished Volume 2 and I'm eager to find out who did it. Clive, you know I haven't got your Deutscher. I haven't heard of Deutscher. I'm not sure I've heard of Trotsky. As you've often said, I wouldn't say I was dumb, but I do think that Comintern is the Russian for gangbang. I don't get it. Oh, blimey. And my key. With pleasure. I'm really not likely to need it. Likely? Going to. No? I said I'm bored. Did I ever tell you when I was at university, I once shared a room with a bloke who was positively boring? I mean, actually positive. His dullness beamed out of him in great concentric circles of tedium like radar waves. I would walk into the room, and if he wasn't there, I could work out precisely how long he'd been absent, by how bored I felt. You're being rather torturous. I'm feeling rather tortured. It's not the first time in history. I suppose that's the point. I had a very odd experience the other day. I meant to tell you. I met an old, extremely close acquaintance chap I knew back when. We had a pint, old times, and fell to chatting as one does affairs of state, and he said suddenly that he was thinking of emigrating. Where? I said. New Zealand. Why? I said. Because this country's being taken over. By whom? I said. The Wogs and communists. I mean, this guy had been, well, I'd assumed he one does that everyone, albeit quietly, is more or less, to use a naffish phrase, on the side of life. I mean, this guy's a Tory, and my shock at that was only just outweighed by this when I confessed my view of things. He looked at me as if I came from outer space. I looked at him as if he came from outer space. We sat there, goggling at each other like two extras from Star Trek, and I thought I'll ask him round to dinner. Just the three of us. I thought you'd like to meet him, have a naff laugh. You're being left, Clive. Sorry? In the sense of gone from. Who was that on the phone? Your daft dodging friend. Clive, I have already said, I have already been through the whole thing. I have described him, our meeting, and our stolen night of bliss in graphic, one might say morbid detail. I've done the lot. I have repeated dialogue and simulated action. I have provided character notes and hints on staging. I have drawn little diagrams with colored pens on overlaid sheets of cellophane. But if you insist once more, I'm not leaving you for him. It was fun, very fun, but it was a one off. I'm not seeing him again, and I don't even know his name. You must know his name. You put him up twice. I don't know his name. Vicky. It's a ridiculous cliche to sleep with people and not find out who they are. People don't do it anymore. It's such a self consciously roundhouse thing to do. I'm going now. Where? Friends. Who? I'm not going to tell you. What if? Ring me at the school. Do you want a bite of breakfast? No. Not just a little hash muesli and home turned yogurt? Oh, blimey, as someone said. Clive, I told you, there isn't anyone. Comes close to you. I mean, come on. Dry your. You can't say. We never tried. Jaeger Richard, RSR 1973. I mean, love, please do try and see it my way. I mean, do I have to keep on talking till. I can't go on! Lennon McCartney, Decca, circa 1966. It's just that something inside has died. I've tried, but I just can't. Fake it. King, A&M, Autumn 71. What? Have you? What? Been faking it during coitus. Let us take, for example, last night's coitus. What do you want me to say? Because anything I say, yes, no, or indifferent, anything I'll say will make you. Knots. R.D. Lang. Tavistock, 1970, subsequent Penguin. What? Knots. Knots, as in tie. Cut. What? Cut. C-U-T, cut, as in ties. McCluskey. Hello, McCluskey? Brent, can you say I shan't be in? A touch of something, a touch of grief. GRI, no, terrible line. Tell them flu or bronchitis or the clap or something. Ciao. Gracelessly vacating your cloud. I was in the office, brewing up my morning caffeine fix when the broad blew in. I've had a heavy evening, and Elisa were playing Mahler on my frontal lobes, but this chick was the kind that makes the morning after feel just like the night before. She had that shade of vivid red hair that makes you want to check if it's genuine, and I wouldn't say she was well stacked, but the British Museum could have picked up hints from her shelving. I retrieved my pupils from her cleavage and directed her to lay it on the line. They sent me here, she whispered, in that type of percolator voice that doctors tell you to avoid. They said I ought to see you, it's about this guy. Well, I won't say I welcomed this new element in the plot. I'd got the script all planned out, and what I had in mind was essentially a duologue with the accent on the do. I hid my feelings underneath the desk, and I told her to proceed. It was several weeks ago. I haven't seen him since. I don't know where he lives or what he does. I can't remember what he looks like, and I've never got his name. They said you ought to find him soon. It sounds as if it might be difficult. The kid was right, but I don't like to tell her. Tell a dame she's right, and the next thing you know, she's making up your laundry list. Look, kid, I said as far as I'm concerned, running a case and is like making love. It's a lot easier when it's hard. Look on the bright side. We know he's a guy that narrows it right down to 30 million. She didn't laugh. In fact, she burst into tears. I didn't have a hanky, so I lent her my shoulder. She said she'd do anything for me if I'd help her. So when I'd got that signed and witnessed, I said I'd take my time to Alka-Seltzer in the case. Hey, Clivy. Hey, Clivy, are you getting us a beer? There isn't any beer, McCluskey. No, no beer. Clivey. Where's the meat, Clivey? Meat? I cannot find the meat, Clivey. I don't think there is any meat, McCluskey. It's a vegetarian restaurant. They don't have meat. It's their thing, like Jews and bacon. Ah, Clivey. Hmm? What's this? It's a mug of tea, McCluskey. Clivey, I don't want to alarm you, but this tea is not as tea should be. In what way? It's bright green. It's supposed to be that color, McCluskey. It's called Bancha. It's the same as ordinary tea. It's just a drunk at a different stage of development that leaves are still alive. Ah, Clivey. Hmm? What the fuck are we doing here, Clivey? We're here, McCluskey, because it's the only place in the city we can guarantee not to fall over my wife. That's absurd. This place is right up her street. Exactly. She knows that, and more to the point, she knows that I know that. You're becoming paranoid, Clivey. What you call paranoia, McCluskey, I call a cool and considered evaluation of the facts. This tastes like fucking seaweed, Clivey. Hey, McCluskey. Hey, you. You. What seems to be the bother? Hey, are you a waitress? And what's that to you? Are you an employee of this luncheonette? And what if I am? Do you have some ministerial relationship with this hash house? Hey, pal, do you want to make something of it? So what the hell's this? Ezeki. What's Ezeki? Fucking seaweed. We're going to be late back. Bugger it. We're on a feature. We are? We are. On the reductio ad absurdum of the counterculture to plates of fucking seaweed. Middle class obsession, Clivey. I am middle class, white, Anglo-Saxon, Church of England male, even heterosexual, nothing going for me at all, a historical reject, a sociological leper, a personal reject. Do you think she'll come back then? Dinah, you bother about it, Clivey. Commitment, what counts, not origin. The working class movement clasps you to its bosom. Well, that's very kind of it. The answer to the question is no. Well, this feature, did you know the whole ethos of this stuff is totally sexist? I did not. It is based, you see, on the concept of yin and yang. Go on. Now, yang is flesh, red, hot, sweet, active, and male. Coca-Cola, for instance, is about as yang as you can get. Yin, on the other hand, is green, cool, passive, and female. Pineapple is more or less that way, as is eggplant, and apparently you can't get yinner than yogurt. You know a lot about it. Yes, well, I read a book. One evening, some pillin at one of Vicky's gruesome friends, they were all rapping on this and that. Homeopathy, the biosphere, how together China was, Dianetics, all that sort of thing. And I just sat in the corner, getting into the bookshelf, as one often does, and there was this very badly bound American paperback called Zen and the Art of Aubergine Boiling, and And while they rapped, I read. You done? Yes, thanks. Hey, why don't you dress as a waitress then? We don't. Why not? It's considered demeaning. What of? Us. The menial implications of little white aprons and short black skirts. Aye, it doesn't change what you do. I think that's what we professionals call a contradiction. Right. Oh, by the way, what's the time? 3:05. Good. Um, that's my notice. My notice expired at 3. I'm no longer employed by this establishment. And if you want my opinion, anyone who pays 85p for a plate of seaweed needs his head looking at. Clive, what are you doing? Okay, just tidy up. Clivey, that stays right where it is. You know how it is. Clivey, take that tray out, and you are guilty of a direct and conscious act of class betrayal. Um, you see all the name, all the same. Oh, they're fine up to their noses in tracks, slaving over a hot concept, but you confront them with the need for direct action. And what happens? Acute embarrassment. Come that great day, the streets are running with beer and blood, the ruling class swinging from the lampposts. You get Clivey and his ilk saying, I mean, right on, comrades, but isn't the whole thing ever so slightly unnecessarily impolite? McCluskey. It is rumored, indeed, that Clivey's only regular conscious contribution to the class struggle is confined to using the toilet while the train is still standing at the platform, and even then he waits till it's moved off to the flush. McCluskey. It's not true, however, that he has not, in the past, albeit dim and distant, made sacrifices in the cause of the revolution indeed, sustained personal injury. One thinks of the occasion when, during some fracas in Grosvenor Square, concerned with some Southeast Asian conflict or another, he was witness to a particularly brutal assault by the forces of law and order on a small and defenseless group of young ladies from a provincial college of education. Clivey, noting this, turned, ran, and fell right over a police horse. McCluskey, you know full well I was a committed pacifist at the time. My actions were completely in accord with the cowardice of my own convictions. What the hell are you on about? Ah, now, do you hear that, Clivey? Now there's you, a rigorous intellectual who can detect a reformist tendency at 500 paces on a cloudy day, and here's Mo, short for Maureen. Maureen, who would know a petite bourgeois deviation if you served it up garnished with haziki, but who has just delivered a blow against the ruling order, or at least that subsection of same that runs whole food bistro techs, a blow beside which. Shut up, McCluskey. Class instinct, Clivey, no substitute. I said shut up, McCluskey. You see, Maureen, Clivey here earns his daily bread by shut up. Up. Doesn't matter what I do at all. Well, I think I'd best. Where'd you from, Maureen? Go on. I was just asking where you came from, Maureen. Peterhead, just north of Aberdeen. Why do you come south? Ugh, you know. Have you not got another job to go to? Have I? Fuck. What you going to do? Something that pays me, bit of the gravy, why not? Something that pays me fucking well. My wife has just left me on the grounds of rigid boredom. I have a number of friends, most of them delightful in their way, but with all of whom I have relationships of grotesquely labyrinthian complexity, interpersonal cat's cradles of resentment on the grounds of sex and race and this and class and creed and that, and while coping with radical feminist trots and Maoist echo freaks is, of course, all part of life's rich tapestry. Where would we be without it? Nonetheless, sometimes, when one meets someone who you only know as Mo, who wants a bit of the gravy, one wonders if perhaps she'd care to allow you to show her the Royal Mile. I've seen the Royal Mile. The Fourth Road Bridge? That too. Or something. Right, you're on. I'd put some music on, but I have neighbor problems. They're all terribly old. I'm surrounded by rejects from the Royal Infirmary's geriatric ward. Are you sure you don't want anything to drink? No, no, thank you. Right. Did you enjoy Leith? I'm in no way generally distinguished, but I do have a slight claim to fame. I was once stopped for speeding in Great Junction Street. They let me off with a caution, so I've actually been dismissed by the Leith police. I'm a bit unprepared. I usually like to plan these things down to the last soft light. I see. I'm also always worried, generally, about these one-night stands with women I don't know. Usually I make it a rule not to sleep with a woman until I know her well enough to be sure she'll get the joke, or be polite enough to laugh just the same if she spots when it's the punchline. As it were, why not give me a nudge when it comes? Now you must stop me if you've ever heard this before. It was one of the tone of voice that surprised her. Find the yank. Before, with carriers, she'd been told to contact, see, even occasionally look for, but never with quite the quiet insistence find. She'd mentioned it to Hutton. Hutton had been fussing round his gas ring in the tasteless, cozy little office he always called his bloody cubbyhole. Tea or coffee, he asked her. Coffee, he said. Hutton looked hurt. It is Earl Grey, he said. I'd still like coffee, he said. Hutton didn't reply, but spooned out the instant granules with a kind of formal precision and insisted on offering her the sugar, though he knew she didn't take it. Then he began to talk about the Yank. Kicked off in SEA, of course, like anything that involves the bloody Yanks. Well, back to Mum it duly comes, popping up all over, and because the pill boys didn't get its measure, thriving on everything they give it, and ping-ponging all over the land of the free. Only a matter of time, of course, before it jumps border into Canada. London thinks our carrier's numero uno, but of course that's pretty bloody academic now. Point is, stop the rot before it gets OOC. Apparently the department's pushing too, so London's getting pretty bloody jumpy. Hence the AI of nailing down your chap. All clear? And Hutton turned away from her and began to clean his nails with a straightened paperclip, a gesture which always meant, to her at least, that the audience was over. She found him easily. Not just this once, the vague remembrance, I think her hair was blonde. He may have come from Glasgow. All the clues they'd often given her, no, since the Putney red-haired girl had told her a lot of all, this one was like a dream. Because apparently, according to the dusty fellow in the camera shop, there really weren't that many young photographers engaged in magazine work in Midlothian at any one specific time. And it wasn't whether anymore, but just how long. Nice place. Nice place, nice wine. Nice music. Or, was. Aha. Do you do this often? I mean, with lots of people. I mean, do you do this kind of thing with lots of people, lots, or even often? Well, it's a funny old business life. I mean, here's me, wandering up Chambers Street, sunk in gloomy speculation as to how the fuck I'm going to make ends meet. As passing by the Clytemnestra bookshop, specialists in left wing literature, high class pornography, and the occult. Not I, not I have to tell you, the sort of place I'd ordinarily frequent, but then it's not in all respects been an ordinary sort of week. And then on a notice board called Links, discreetly nestling between rebirthing classes, meetings of the Workers' League of Scotland, Marxist Leninist, Shiatsu, primal screaming, third girl sought for Morningside collective living situation, water bed, provided, water sign preferred. Well, it's comforting to know you've got all this together. I mean, if there's one thing sets a person's mind at rest, it's knowing they're involved in something that's been planned down to the last soft light. I'm sorry? Sorry. Not sure I got all that. Well, I just wanted to make clear. Yeah, what? That I'm not usually. Yeah? That sort of girl. You mean, I mean that does the sort of thing you're doing now, I see. I chose the hippie bookstore because there are people who regard the free expression of their sexuality as a revolutionary statement of itself. There are? Surely. Do your own thing. Let it all hang out. Why don't we do it in the road? I can think of many reasons, most of them hygienic or climatic, certainly around here. In February 1974, at the height of your wonderful general election campaign, the miners' strike, the 3-day week, civilization as we know it threatened to its basis, our equally wonderful Susie Quattro's Devil Gate Ride was at number one in the pop charts for 2 weeks, and she's reputed to have promised that if it stayed at number one a third week, she would appear stark naked on a live TV rock show to sing it. So what happened? Fell to number two. But then so did the government. Do I? So what is your sign? You first. I'm Sagittarius. We most of us have bloody odor and you shouldn't lend us money. And we're into incest in a big way. You? I'm Pisces. We have an unhealthy interest in fish. Well, thank goodness you're not Taurus or Cancer for that matter. Pardon? Bulls and crabs. I'd like to do this now. Would you prefer behind the screen? Why now? Why not? I mean, the way I look at it is this. I have a soul, I have a body, and if keeping them together implies keeping them apart. Exactly so. What's that? It's nothing, just a phone. Right, let me explain. You see, the problem is with this disease that the germ is building up resistance to the penicillin that we've used to treat it. One example, perhaps the most well known, occurred in Vietnam, where prostitutes were found to treat themselves with insufficient dosages and thus became ironically walking cultures of mutating Gunakachi. This resistant strain of gonorrhea is known colloquially as Vietnam or Saigon Rose. It came back with the troops. There is a race between it and the chemists to effect a cure. And there are signs that it's the chemists that are losing, and the thing is spreading now around the world. Why tell all this to me? Because you've got it. You've got Saigon Rose. You gave it to the girl in Putney. By the time her boyfriend realized it, he got it. You were up here, spreading it around. I'm sorry. Sorry. Sorry.